What's up, Clipper Nation? We are back. Welcome to the Clip Service Podcast. Please make sure to find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Amazon Music, and YouTube. And you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Clip Service Pod. I'm Rolla, and this is my co-host, Nick. Let's get right into it.
Guys, the squad's back together. I had to hold it down last episode. I tried my best. But something was missing, dude. The final ingredient was missing, and we're back together. A little spice. Yeah, we need a little spice. So that's what we're about to do, guys. We're gonna recap. We're gonna recap the three games, the first 3 games of the season, and then we're gonna talk about the upcoming 2 games before we'll get back to you guys next, probably on Sunday. But yeah, the Clippers are 2-1 to start the season. Not bad. In a vacuum, that wouldn't be bad, but the problem is the loss that we did take was against like a notoriously horrible Jazz team, and in a game where I think we were at one point we were down by like 40 or something like that. So we're just gonna jump right into it, guys. Clippers started their season, opened it up against the Utah Jazz in Utah, and absolutely got run out of the gym, literally from the jump. I think. I mean, I don't think the Clippers led the entire game. Which was horrible. The Clippers never really got their feet under them. They looked a step slow. Just from the optics of it, it looked, and it made it even harder to watch. But from the optics of it, it just looked like the Clippers kind of expected that they'd walk into this game and secure a dub, just considering how bad the Jazz were last year and the last couple years. But that's not what happened. The Jazz rolled out a starting lineup of Lauri Markkanen, Kyle Filipowski, Walker Kessler. So they had 3 centers, 3 through 4, which is kind of what they've been doing so far this year. They have a jumbo lineup. At the 2, they had Svi Mykhailiuk, who had a pretty solid game against us somehow. No offense to Svi, but I just was not expecting it. And then Keontae George, who started in the place of Isaiah Collier, had a really good game. Everybody contributed. I mean, Bryce Sensabaugh torches from the bench with 20 points. Taylor Hendricks had himself a good game. It was horrible. The Clippers got out rebounded. The Jazz were hitting some absurd threes. The energy was night and day between the Clippers and the Jazz. They looked like a team that knew that they were a lot younger than the Clippers, and they took advantage of it. I mean, 4 of the 5 starters for the Clippers scored in double digits, but the highest scorer was Ivica Zubac with 19. Kawhi had 10. DJ, who started, I believe he's still starting, had 12. James Harden with 15, and Bradley Beal with 5. It was just horrible. Brook Lopez was great off the bench with 15. 14 from John Collins. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but I've really liked what I've seen from John Collins so far this season. Even though he is coming off the bench, which was not what I expected, he's brought a really good energy. He's, the prototypical 4, which we haven't really had in a while. So that's been awesome. But yeah, Rolla, what are your immediate takeaways from this shit show of the game?
Yeah, bro, it was a shit show. I fully expected us to come out with energy and kind of like torch this team, but you could see from the jump, like, we didn't want it. The players almost didn't even want to be there. It's kind of like they didn't even realize that the season had started yet. Kawhi had 4 points at halftime. Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those games where, like, it was really demoralizing, man, and it kind of like going into it, like being excited, like, okay, the NBA season's finally starting. We're excited to watch the Clippers. Yeah, like we're supposed to be like a decent team. We got some vets on this team that like have been through this, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and to see like your big dogs just look completely flat, look like they don't want to be there, look like they forgot how to play basketball, dude. It's just like sad to see, and it like took so much away from the excitement of the NBA season starting to lose to like this honestly a trash ass team like the Jazz. Like they're probably going to finish with the worst record in the league.
Who knows? But yeah, it's going that way.
21 points, dude. We were down by what, like 30 at halftime, dude. It was just so bad, bro. And it really showed our age. We're the oldest team in the league, and to see us get blitzed by some like third stringers on a decent team, like it's pretty irritating to see. But you know, I really was expecting a bounce back game on the next one, which we'll talk about in the next section. But that was pretty much my takeaway from the game, was just there wasn't many positives. We just looked flat, dude.
Yeah, and honestly, like the age was a factor. Obviously, I think we both kind of agree on that. I think,
but
the
like,
biggest
if we're being real, it's the first game, bro. How are you not coming out? I don't care what age you are. You haven't played basketball in like 3 months.
Well, exactly. Well, and that's kind of what I was gonna say. Is it wasn't to me as much the age as it was the turnovers. I mean, if you look at the final turnover count, the Clippers only had 15, and the Jazz had 13. So it wasn't an egregious difference in turnovers total, but it was the way that the turnovers happened. It was the laziness. It was the carelessness.
Right.
And it was like they came early, and it allowed the Jazz to get confident. And then they were just hitting absurd shots. Like the first quarter, it was at the end of the first quarter, it was 43-19. Like that's absurd. And yeah, so the Clippers really never like got their juice back. They allowed a young, confident team to get their mojo, and then I mean, when you have an older team already, that's a hard thing to bounce back from. So
Facts.
Yeah, it was like you said, Rolla. Like it sucked more because it was the season opener, and we had a whole off season of like the aspiration bullshit, and then the vibes were starting to get good, and the excitement was there again, and then it was like, oh, okay, so is this the team we're gonna get? So yeah, it was just a big letdown. Obviously, first game of the season, so you can't read too much into it, but I don't know, in a season that's like this important to, you know, just the end of the Kawhi and James Harden thing, and like, you know, CP coming back. Like there's a lot at stake here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that the Clippers can do to really make this a special season. And the schedule for the Clippers is so, I don't want to say easy, but it's a lot lighter than it's going to be in about a month. So the Clippers really need to handle business early on, during this stretch of like easier games, for lack of a better word. So It sucked, but again, first game of the season, so you can't read too much into it. I was just hoping for a bounce back game, and like you said, Rolla, that is what we got against the Suns. But I will say, to start this one out, I only watched like the first quarter of this game. Rolla, you watched the whole game, so you can touch a little bit more on it. But early on, it also looked kind of like the Clippers were, like they weren't taking the game as seriously as they maybe should have, and it was the home opener. So it was like, again, it's like, oh, are we really going to do this in front of our fans? Are we going to let like a bad Suns team, or a likely subpar Suns team beat us
bad.
Like this?
You can say it.
I mean, they have the personnel to be competitive, but yeah, I mean, they're probably going to be bad. But yeah, so like the aggression was kind of not there in the first quarter. At the end of the first quarter, we were up by 1 still, but I mean, this is another one where you kind of want to come out and you want to put your foot on the Suns' neck, and we didn't really do that. After the first quarter, like I said, I didn't really see. So really, you can maybe touch on that a little bit more, and like what you saw, and maybe we can break down the box score.
Yeah, so I agree with you. This was like, we kind of came out looking pretty similar. It kind of seems to me, at least within the first 2 games, that we were trying, basically like playing up and down to our competition. You know, with the Jazz, I felt like they kind of went in with the mentality of, oh, this is a trash team, so like I don't really need to prepare. And I felt the same type of energy to start this game, where they were like, okay, this is a bad Suns team, we don't really have to try. But honestly, in Suns fashion, Dylan Brooks kind of took after Devin Booker and Luka Doncic in that one series where Devin Booker talked mad shit to Luka, and then Luka proceeded to dunk his balls in his mouth for what was it, 3 games straight.
yeah, I guess it was. That's a lot of ball dunking,
and that was pretty much what Dylan Brooks did. He was talking shit to James Harden. And then James Harden proceeded to dunk his balls in his mouth and dropped 3 straight 3-pointers and basically just took over the game from that point on.
Yeah.
He ended the game with 30 points and hit 5 of 7 threes. And that
really
pretty much that really sparked the team. Overall, Kawhi played a pretty decent game. It was one of those games where Kawhi is just kind of quietly hitting shots, and then he ends up with 27 points. And you're like, what? When did he hit all of these shots?
Yeah.
But he really did he played a great game. But yeah, like I said, the real star of the show was James Harden, who went 8 of 12 from the field and had
really
30
efficient.
points. Extremely efficient. 5 of 7 from 3, 7 assists and 7 boards. Pretty much just like dominated the whole way through. And that was something that like I really like to see, because with Clippers stars, for some reason, I don't know, every year it's almost like they come out fucking flat, and we have to keep saying like, oh, they'll be better, or they'll get better as the season goes. But I just don't understand
excuses,
like, why they don't. Yeah, excuses. Like, you are getting paid all this money, you get like all this time off to prepare yourself for the beginning of the season, and you got to come out balling. And I would have liked to see it against the Jazz, because it would have been a lot, in my opinion, a lot easier to do this. But we came out and balled against the Suns. I mean, Derek Jones Jr. had 17 points.
Yeah, perfect from the field, I think he was.
Yeah, 6 of 6. John Collins went off 10 points, 6 boards, and Chris Dunn also had 14 points. So we got like a decent amount of points from our bench. Obviously, the starters kind of balled out. Zoo didn't have that great of a game, but it just wasn't necessary, and he kind of just played his role this game. But one thing I do want to talk about, and we can kind of, I didn't see his stats from game 1, but Bradley Beal hasn't really impacted the team the way I've kind of was expecting him to.
He hasn't.
Especially in the Suns game, I would have thought that he would have kind of tried a little harder, but
revenge game.
It just feels like he's really trying to take a backseat, and maybe this is something we'll see going forward. Maybe he's got to run with the bench unit, but I don't think he should be taking it back. I mean, he only put up four shots. He hit 2 of 4, but I mean, if your main reputation in the league is being a scorer, and you're only putting up 4 shots, I'm not really sure like what your use is after that point. So that's just one thing that was like my takeaway. But we can kind of move on to the next game. I mean, there really wasn't anything to talk about with the Suns. They played okay and then got destroyed pretty much. That was their whole story.
Yeah, I think real quick, actually, I just wanted to, for the first 2 games and part of the third game, one thing that we didn't touch on with the first game was, the Clippers were such a good defensive team last year, and particularly against the Jazz, but also against the Suns in that, kind of first quarter. The defense was not crisp at all. And obviously you're going to get that with the team that has new pieces, like the communication and stuff like that. Like defense, like defensive schemes and stuff like that are a very big part of that, is communicating with the people that you have out on the floor, communicating with your teammates, calling out switches, talking. And right. And I didn't see a lot of that, any of that against the Jazz. And for that first quarter, I didn't really see any of it with Suns. And kind of more to the point that you were making with Bradley Beal, I'm finding that he's kind of taking a backseat role. He's never been a great defender, but I find that he was a kind of a part of a lot of like the missed rotations, or he just looked a little bit lost out there. And granted, yes, he's new and stuff, but I think that he's still kind of trying to adjust to his role. Also, something to be considered is that he's coming off of like a knee thing, so maybe he's not feeling 100%. What are you smirking at?
No, it's nothing. Nothing.
Okay. Maybe he's not feeling 100%. I do hope that Bradley Beal. We'll touch on it in a little bit because he is actually apparently supposed to miss. He missed last night's game and he's supposed to miss tomorrow's game as well. So we'll talk about that as well. But yeah, I haven't loved what I've seen from Bradley Beal. I do hope that he kind of gets right health wise and just plays enough to be able to acclimate himself with the lineups and stuff like that. But we will see. But yeah, if you wanted to jump right into the Trailblazers game, this was actually a game that I was at. Was in the building. I really didn't want to see a loss in my first game of the season, and the Clippers rose to the occasion. The first half, particularly that second quarter, was pretty bad. The Trailblazers went on like I don't know what the exact number was, but it felt like a 15 to like 7, 15 to 5 run, and they outscored the Clippers. The final tally for that quarter was 37-21 in Portland's favor. And Portland was playing some really, really good defense. They have a bunch of really, really good athletes, and it was definitely apparent. Particularly, they were trying to pick up the Clippers full court. It seemed like every possession, and it was making the Clippers uncomfortable. But Clippers found a way to kind of rally and get back to the basics. Something that was missing the first game and a half, and really ratcheted up the defense. Actually, specifically Shaedon Sharpe, who's one of the best dunkers in the league. He probably had like 7 or 8 attempts to try and dunk on the Clippers, and he got blocked, I think 2 or 3 times by Brook Lopez, once by Derrick Jones, once on a chase down block by Nico Batum, another time by Zoo, I believe. He got blocked almost every time that he went up for a dunk. And so those plays kind of galvanized the defense, and the Clippers were able to kind of hold their own on that end, and that led to the Clippers separating a little bit. It was not really, the Clippers didn't run away with this game by any means, but there was a point where it felt like the Clippers kind of had control because of that defense. The final score was 114-107. As far as the box score goes, this was a great game from Kawhi Leonard. 30 points, 11 for 21. Shot a really, really fantastic, efficient clip from 3 as well. 4 of 6 from 3. It was a great game from him. Ivica Zubac had his best game of the season so far. 21 points, 9 of 14 from the field. Just looked a little bit more engaged than he had the last couple games. 8 rebounds. Solid game from James Harden. He did have a couple silly turnovers. Ended up finishing the game with 7 of them, which you don't love to see. A lot of that was the ball pressure from the Portland Trailblazers, but ended up finishing the game with 20 points, 13 assists, 6 rebounds. That was good. Really, really tough game from Bogdan Bogdanovic. As I touched on, Bradley Beal didn't play in this one, and surprisingly enough, Bogey got this start, and he had himself a Tony Snell game pretty much. He was 0 for 4 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. 0 points, 5 turnovers, 2 personal fouls.
Turnovers with 0 points is crazy.
It's pretty nuts. He was really struggling in this one, which it was tough to see. It was really tough to see. It was also interesting that Ty elected to go with him. I mean, Bogey himself was coming off of an injury that he suffered during Eurobasket this summer. To elect to go with him in the starting lineup as opposed to, I kind of thought that John Collins, with how well he's been playing so far, was going to get moved in the starting lineup, and they would play Collins and Jones next to each other, which is a lineup I really like. But obviously Ty Lue wanted to try something different, and it did not work. Solid game from Nico Batum. Only had 3 points, but like I said, he had the block on Shaedon Sharpe, that chase down block. It was just vintage Nico defensive plays. Had 3 steals. Just kind of like a gritty Nico game. Brook Lopez hit a 3, a deep 3 at the buzzer. That was cool. Brook Lopez has been awesome so far in his Clipper tenure. Chris Paul, more quiet game from him. I was talking to Roll about it before we started recording, but this was first of all, it was awesome to see Chris Paul, who's like my favorite Clipper of all time by far. See him, playing for the Clippers again in person. That was awesome. But one thing that I did notice was this was kind of one game where I really kind of saw Chris's age, and I don't think that that's going to be something that's going to happen every game. I think a big part of it was, like I said, the ball pressure. But when Chris Paul was taking the ball up the floor, he was getting, a press before he even crossed half court. And you could tell it was making him uncomfortable. And so that was interesting. It was interesting to see how the Clippers handled that ball pressure. They ended up being okay. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, especially without Bradley Beal, who's kind of like a secondary ball handler, to see how the Clippers do as far as ball security with young teams that do press that hard.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, aside from the final score and the monster game from Kawhi, just a good game, a good win, back-to-back wins. Clippers are, although it's only 2 games, undefeated at the Dome. Clippers did a really good job of protecting home court in the second half of the season last year. So it's good that they're kind of getting off to that same start where, the Intuit Dome is becoming a really tough place for opposing teams to play in. And so I hope the Clippers really take that seriously this year. What was your takeaway from this game?
And kind of going back to what I said about the Clippers, like getting up and kind of going down to like according to their opponent. I think they always say the better teams, the playoff teams, the like championship level teams will beat the teams that they're supposed to. In that game against the Jazz, this is of course, a bad team at the beginning of the season is going to play hard. They usually have younger players that are trying to prove themselves or trying to stay in the league, right? So they're going to play a little bit harder. But it's the same thing with this Portland team. This is the type of game that I was expecting for the first game of the season where, of course, Portland is going to play hard. But, what makes our team better is that, our core pieces and our role players can match, at the very least skill level wise, match the other team, the Trailblazers or the Jazz. And what takes us home, what wins us these games is Kawhi being the superstar. And I think we see it here. I mean, Kawhi with 30 points and 10 boards, and everyone else, I mean, James Harden had a really good game, but everyone else kind of played their role. Obviously, Bogdanovich played below his role.
It was pretty bad. I was at...
But that's this is exactly what I'm expecting for the season to go. I mean, I personally don't think that we're a championship level team, but I think that we are a playoff level team, and these are teams that we should be beating on a regular basis, pretty much. And this was pretty good to see, and pretty comforting to see to start out the season.
It was so fun, just to touch on what you said. My entire section, like my entire area, I was sitting in the wall, and you could see that like there were a couple people that were there with maybe their friends that weren't Clipper fans or didn't know a lot about basketball. But it was a lot of like people leaning over to their friends, being like, "Oh yeah, like Bogey's not normally this bad. Like I promise, he's not really this bad." There was a lot of like Bogey chatter in my area for whatever reason. Like it was very like palatable how bad of a game he was having. So I really hope that Bogey, because he had his moments last year where he was a really effective piece for this Clippers team, and so I really hope he kind of gets his swagger back. And also, he's clearly not healthy yet,
right,
or not 100%. And so I hope that he gets back to that, because that's just, again, another weapon for the Clippers to have. I mean, we're a really deep team, and this team's built to have guys come in and give that sort of energy and give that spark, and he can be one of those guys, when someone else doesn't have it. But yeah, rough game from Bogey. But other than that, great win. Clippers are 2-1. So kind of righted the wrongs, all of the wrongs from the Jazz game, which was really good to see. I just hope the Clippers continue. I think the Clippers have a relatively easier schedule for the next week or week and a half. We do play the Warriors tomorrow, which is going to be a tough matchup, which we'll touch on in a second. But for the most part, the Clippers should be able to handle business here early on in the season, which I think they need to do. My question for you before we get into previews, Rolla, is in these first 3 games, what are your takeaways from the Clippers' new additions? What have you liked? What have you not liked? We already touched on the Bradley Beal thing, but overall, what have you liked what you've seen from the 3 new guys?
Yeah, so with John Collins, I think that he has been playing really hard. He's really kind of stepped into that role and being that big man, that scoring big man, and being that force. I initially was skeptical of him, and I'm still pretty skeptical of him, just because last season, and honestly in his career, he's been extremely injury prone. So I'm kind of skeptical in the sense of, will he be there in the end, so to speak?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if he's not, like, is he the type of player like a Paul George, where he kind of gets injured and just stays out, or gets like a minor injury and kind of just decides not to play anymore? Because we did see that, and I don't know if it's his fault. Obviously, I'm not in the front office, but with the Jazz he was on the Jazz, right? Last year, he did sit out for most of the season, I would say.
I think a big part of that was the Jazz, their tanking efforts.
Exactly. Like, I think that they were tanking, and so because of that they didn't play him. But it almost felt like he was always injured, in my opinion. Because I mean, like, they can just say, like, he can actually get injured, and they'll just ride with that injury until whatever. But outside of that, I think that he could do a lot for the team. And then Chris Paul, obviously one of my favorite players of all time. I think that he's going to bring a lot of that mental side of the game to the Clippers, but honestly, not that much else. He's obviously not what he used to be. He obviously is not the Chris Paul when he was on the Clippers the last time we saw him in a Clipper jersey. But it is beautiful to see him on the Clipper squad. And who's the last person?
Oh, I had some technical difficulties on my end, but I'm assuming that you were just gassing up Chris Paul, and which
I was. Who's
we got Brook Lopez and Bradley Beal.
Oh yeah, Brook Lopez. I already talked about Bradley Beal. I do expect him to be a scorer, and I don't think that he adds that much if he's not scoring. So that is something that we'll have to keep an eye on. And Brook Lopez, I've always been a fan. I think he is one of the most underrated bigs in the league. He's a guy that is known for getting boards, known for getting blocks, known for hitting threes, transformed his game into being a three-point shooter, is able to stretch the floor, is able to play big man, and his post game is solid. I think he's a really great addition. I mean, going all the way back to when he was on the Lakers, I thought he was really one of those guys. So it's pretty amazing seeing him on the Clippers. That's pretty much.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think with Brook Lopez, it's anything's kind of better than a lot of the backup centers that we've had over the last couple of years. And so to have not only a championship competent center that has started for most of his career, but one that can stretch the floor has been huge. And he's just been a great presence, coming off the bench to give Zoo some rest. I agree with everything that you said. But getting real quick into the two previews for the next couple of games, we have the Golden State Warriors in the Bay tomorrow, October 28th, and then we have the dreaded New Orleans Pelicans, who are seeing a little bit of the injury bug again. They might be one of the most cursed franchises, if not the most cursed franchise in the league. But we're playing them on Friday. I'm fully expecting us to lose by 50. For those that don't know, for whatever reason, there's just a weird thing when the Clippers play the Pelicans. Doesn't matter who's on the floor, the Pelicans end up either shooting lights out or playing incredible defense, or someone has a career night. So I'm mostly kidding when I say that I expect the Clippers to lose, but I think it's going to be tough. I think that's going to be a tough game. It'll be on Halloween, so whether we
Ooh,
get a trick or a treat, we'll have to see. But what are you looking for? Thanks, buddy. What are you looking for in? We'll start with the Warriors game. The Warriors, they've gotten off to a pretty good start. Jonathan Kuminga has kind of been inserted into a very sizable role, contrary to what
right.
he was given last year, where he didn't know if he was going to play 5 minutes, he didn't know if he was going to play 50 minutes, even though there's not 50 minutes in a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His role was very all over the place last year. Now he's kind of been given a big part of the responsibilities in Golden State, and he's looked really, really good. And the Warriors have done a pretty good job so far this season. I think they had 2 double overtime games or 2 overtime games back to back. They've competed in both of them. What are you expecting from this game for the Clippers?
This will be a big test for us because the Warriors look good, dude. They've had one overtime game, and that was the game against the Nuggets.
I thought they had I thought they had another one.
No, they only had one. They played the Lakers opening night.
That didn't go
They
to
played the
overtime.
Nuggets that went to overtime. That they won in overtime. No, the Lakers game didn't go to overtime.
Okay.
And then they lost to the Trailblazers. They got torched by the Trailblazers actually on Friday.
The Trailblazers
And
are good, man. They're better
the
than
Trailblazers are
than
good.
their record's gonna show, I think.
Yeah, they're a good team, and I think it's mainly because they have a lot of energy and they're a young team and can bring it. And I don't think those older type teams like us or the Warriors are kind of like prepped or ready for that type of intensity just yet. So I think that like a lot of those like older type teams are going to take L's to the Trailblazers, honestly. But you know, they beat the Lakers on opening night. You know, and that was a pretty good game. Luka obviously went crazy, but the Warriors seem even keeled. I mean, they're a Steph Curry led team, so they're always going to be dangerous. When Steph is hitting threes, it's pretty demoralizing, man. Like, Clippers have been rivals with the Warriors since we were in high school, bro. Like,
Yeah.
it's always a battle, man, and it's always demoralizing to see Steph Curry hit his deep range threes. I mean, I can't even imagine being a basketball player, an NBA player, and having to defend a dude that like doesn't miss no matter what you do. So basically, we just have to keep him from getting hot. He is the head of the snake, so you got to cut off the head and then, you know, just hope that everything else falls apart. But, you know, I think that it's a game that we can win. Obviously, the Trailblazers just blew them out, and we just beat the Trailblazers. So, you know, I think that it is doable. So we just have to see, honestly. You know, like I said, the Clippers have been getting up for certain teams and playing down to certain levels. So, you know, hopefully this is the team they get up for. But, you know, like I said, it all starts with guarding Steph Curry correctly.
Yeah, I think, yeah, obviously, I have to sneeze 1 second. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Yeah, thank you. That one took it out of me. Yeah, obviously the first order of business needs to be to try your best to cut the head off the snake, which is Steph Curry. But I think it's interesting now that there's a new wrinkle that was not there last year, where Jonathan Kuminga is playing at a really high level. He's super athletic. He's a talented offensive player. You know, he can shoot the three. When he's hot, he can shoot the three at a pretty high clip. He's really good near the rim. He's a good rebounder, and he provides a lot of energy that they kind of didn't have last year. So it's going to be interesting to see. They do have other weapons. You know, they have Bradley Beal, they have Brandon Projemski. You know, they have other guys that can get it going. But those two specifically, Jonathan Kuminga and Steph Curry, are the guys that I'm gonna be looking for the most. I think. I mean, obviously, a lot of teams don't have the tools necessary to guard Steph Curry. I do think the Clippers can kind of keep Jonathan Kuminga in check. They have a lot of big wing, you know, John Collins, Derek Jones, Kawhi Leonard, Nico Batum. They have guys that are bigger guys that they can put on Jonathan Kuminga and probably run single coverage. You're probably going to have to throw doubles at Steph, but It'll be bottom line, it'll be an interesting test to see what the Clippers are at. And I like what you said about the Clippers getting up for certain teams. Last year, if last year was any indication, the Clippers did really well when their backs were against the wall against higher, to elevate their game to teams that were as good, if not better than them. Right. So I imagine that this game is going to, at the very least, be a very close game, and it's going to be really competitive, and I'm excited to see it. In the Bay, it's going to be tough, with how the Warriors have been playing to start the season. There's going to be a lot of energy in that building. So the Clippers cannot take their foot off the gas early. Keep the energy going and don't let those Warriors fans get into it. But I'm excited for that one. Not excited for this Pelicans game. I'll probably be busy on Halloween, so I don't know how much of it I'm going to watch. But I hope that I don't check ESPN and find out the Clippers lost by a billion points because Herb Jones hit 23s or something like that.
Nah, dude, you won't see that, bro.
I hope not. I hope not.
I personally, and this, I have no merit behind this, but I personally think that we've been losing to the Pelicans every year solely because of the hatred from Brandon Ingram for the Clippers. I think Brandon Ingram, for some reason,
but even last year when he wasn't on the team, I think they torched us, didn't they?
I don't know, dude. But
you're right. Brandon Ingram does torch us, but I'm worried about everybody else on that team too.
Zion's playing, right?
No, I think so. Zion's dealing with a foot injury, I believe, so he might not play.
Oh, and dude, the Pelicans are 0-3.
Yeah. So just in time for them to break the record against us. See, that's always what happens. It'll be like the Pelicans just, for the last 30 games, shot 2% from three. And then, like, all of a sudden, they just go lights out against us. It's the weirdest thing. Obviously, this is a winnable game for the Clippers. This is a team that has not won a single game so far this season. They may be without their leading scorer. But you just gotta, with the Pelicans, you gotta watch out for guys it's always someone like Trey Murphy always goes off against us. Herb Jones has really good games against us. Freaking Jose Alvarado ends up having career games against the Clippers. He'll get 7 of his vintage little steals again on James Harden alone or something. Clippers just break the curse.
No, they actually screwed us because they're playing the Nuggets. They're playing the Nuggets on Wednesday, and they're probably going to lose that game. And then they play us, so they're going to be 0-4 going into the game against us. And then they play the Thunder after us. So they're all realistically,
they're going to load up first night of
their only win they can get in 6 games is going to be against us. And so they're going to play their hearts out, dude.
I can't believe it, dude. I can't believe it. And they have, like I said, they have talented guys. That they just added Jordan Poole, who's either going to give you 0 with 50 assists or 50 turnovers, or he's going to hit the most ridiculous shots you've ever seen. So I don't know. They have a really talented young center in Derek Queen. They have guys that have been known to kill us. So
yeah,
Clippers really just, like I said, Clippers got to break the curse. I'm so sick of playing the Pelicans.
And James Harden's going to have Halloween on his mind and shit, trying to get to the party.
James Harden's mentally not going to be at that game at all. But yeah, so I don't know. Obviously, I want the Clippers to play their hardest both of these games, but I think the most important one is going to be that Warriors game, just to show where the Clippers stack up against the league's best. When Friday comes around, we'll see what the Pelicans, who's healthy for the Pelicans, how the Clippers, approach that game will be, to be decided. But yeah, so far so good. Aside from that Jazz start, Clippers are kind of rolling a little bit. Back-to-back wins.
Speaking of the Jazz, they just beat the Suns, and Lauri Markkanen just dropped 51 points.
Okay, actually, that leads. I think we're done talking about the previews. That leads us into our final segment. We're going to make it a little shorter of an episode, but our final segment of the night, which is what's going on. And I want to start out with the absurd like individual scoring showings that we've seen so far this season. Austin Reeves just had 50 something. Shea had 50 something. Luka had 50 something, I think. Wemby had what did Wemby have? Wemby had a night where he had
10 boards or 40 and
40
like
and
5
10
blocks and 10 boards.
and he's had like 15 blocks in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
Like I swear to God, this dude's gonna be the next guy to have a quadruple double, I think. But what do you think's in the what do you think was in the water this offseason? There are so many players that are just having it. I mean, basically, bottom line, the NBA season has gotten off to a riveting start, and it's been behind these crazy individual performances from guys. I don't know, like what have you noticed, like in that respect?
Dude, I mean, there's nothing, I guess, to notice. I think that players have been balling like this for years. I mean, didn't Luka drop 70 points last year? There was a point where, was that last season or 2 seasons ago, where like Luka dropped 70 and then Embiid dropped 70 and then like Towns dropped 60 and then like players just like scoring like crazy. Dude, people think I'm crazy when I say the average NBA player's skill level is on the level of Michael Jordan. Like, and I'm not kidding. These dudes can ball these days, bro. Like the skill level of the NBA players are so high, dude. You got Austin Reeves dropping 50 points in an NBA game, dude.
I think it's interesting because I mean, like with the Jordan comp, it's like it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier for an like the game is more offense centered now. A lot of guys are going to the line a bunch. It's harder to defend. Like you can't be as physical anymore and stuff like that. So I think that's a part of it.
Right.
But yeah, the skill level is insane, and guys are, you have guys like Wemby that are 7'5", and they're hitting step back J's, step back threes, getting 4-point plays. Like we have not seen a lot of this stuff, before, 20 years ago and stuff. Whether how it compares and stuff like that it's a whole different conversation.
It's obviously different because you have a starting point, right? These kids grow up watching MJ and practicing their entire lives those moves, and so by the time they get to the NBA, they're pretty polished, right? Whereas MJ didn't have that. He didn't have someone to kind of like copy and idolize on that level of people did with him, and like Kobe, for example. But I just think that honestly, a player scoring 50 points isn't surprising to me. Like all of these players can score. I mean,
let me break this down for you real quick.
Yeah,
when you're done with this sentence, I just want to read the top 10 scoring, the scoring nights so far this season.
I was just gonna say, I feel like it's such a regular, to be an NBA player these days, you have to be an elite scorer, and a lot of these role players, play their role and camp in the corner and hit their threes and get a check at the end of the week. But most of these NBA players are a bucket and can drop a lot of points. So you can go off with the list now.
I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, we're only a week in. But yeah, the leader, it was Shea with 55. That was the night where he shot like 26 free throws or whatever. I was sick to my stomach watching that, but it is what it is. Austin Reeves 51, Aaron Gordon 50, Luka 49, Tyrese Maxey 43, Luka 43, Steph Curry 42, Jaylen Brown 41, Ant 41, Cam Thomas 40.
Yep,
that's insane, dude. A week in, and so more to your
point.
And
how many of those players would you consider a top 5 player in the league?
I mean,
how many would you consider a top 10?
Like guys like Aaron Gordon, Austin Reeves, Tyrese Maxey, I wouldn't consider top 10. Cam Thomas, I wouldn't consider top 50, probably. Yeah, it's just like it's nuts. So I mean, the season overall has gotten off to an insane start, and even more reason for the Clippers to really, it's all hands on deck right now, because the league is very clearly, everybody's got something to prove. Everybody can score. Anybody can give you 50 at any night, it seems.
Yep.
And so the Clippers really need to take this shit seriously and not lose to the Jazz anymore.
Also, I mean, the Jazz just beat the Suns, so maybe they're legit, dude.
Yeah, but we just got done saying that the Suns were trash, so
True.
I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. The season's gotten off to a great start. Loving what I'm seeing. I'm really trying to approach, because you touched on it earlier, Rolla, that you didn't think that the Clippers were going to win a championship this year. I'm not saying that I don't think that's going to happen, but that's not really my expectation per se. And so this season, I'm really trying to like take in all the other performances and all the other games, and really appreciate just the amount of talent and the amount of greatness that we're seeing right now with players from the ages of 20 to 41, 42. And so it's a really good time to be an NBA fan, and it's been insane so far. But the next thing that I wanted to touch on in this segment is for those of you out there listening that don't know, the NBA was hit with another scandal coming in the form of the FBI basically arresting Chauncey Billups. Both Chauncey Billups, I don't know. So did the FBI intervene on the Terry Rozier thing, or was it just
I'm not
Chauncey
sure
thing?
about the Terry Rozier thing. I think they opened up that investigation again, but the Chauncey Billups thing, I think they fully arrested him, like he was in jail.
Yeah, so Chauncey Billups was involved in like illegal high stakes poker. It had ties to the mafia. It's some real shit, to the point where I'm like, Chauncey Billups not only has to worry about like his image, in terms of like his basketball persona and stuff like that, but I mean, when you're dealing with the mafia and stuff like that, like your life is in jeopardy.
Witness protection, bro.
So it's crazy. And all of this, also Terry Rozier is being looked into for sports betting and stuff like that, which is leads me to the question, with the amount of gambling that is being promoted, in all professional sports. Everything seems to be sponsored by Prize Picks or DraftKings or, all of these sports betting companies. What is your opinion on that? Like what's your how do you feel about like how comfortable professional sports has gotten with sports betting and promoting it and stuff like that?
I think that we knew this was gonna happen. The gambling world is so they're like getting addicted to gambling is such a high like risk for people. A lot of people have pretty addictive personalities, pretty obsessive personalities, and gambling is these companies pretty much taking advantage of people's addictions. The odds of you winning like over your lifetime are like almost zero.
Or even breaking even,
or even breaking even. Like it's just one of those things where it's almost like getting robbed. Like it's like a legal way of robbing people, pretty much. It's like, okay, yeah, you won today, but are you going to win next week? Like, are you going to win the week after that? Like, we're willing to bet, like, these companies are willing to bet that you lose significantly more than you win. Like, congratulations, you won today, but we're going to win in the end. And that's kind of like the whole point of gambling. Yes, it gives like people that rush, but at the end of the day, like these companies win. And a lot of these players in the NBA try to get in on that like money and that winning. And, I think that's where these like illegal, like kind of throwing games, gambling, it comes from is like these players. And, like Terry Rozier probably isn't the only player that has done this or is doing this. I mean,
I guarantee
there has to be so many players that are just like, bet the under or bet the over on points or bet the under on points. Like I'll get close or whatever. And you know what Terry Rozier did? Like he just basically got to a point and then like randomly started grabbing his foot. Yeah. And he was just like, he's like, out, like my foot, it hurts. And I'm going to go, like, I'm going to sit out now. You know what I mean? Like
Porter, like, you know, he was actually indicted
exactly
for, like, you know,
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's hard. Like, how do you prove that? You know what I mean? Like, sure, you could have like a distant friend or some. You could walk on the street and be like, "Hey, I'll give you half of my winnings, bet the under, and like I'll find you and like I'll give you like half, like we'll split it, blah blah blah." Or some other, like, how do you even control that shit? You know what I mean?
It's gotten to the point where it's like, I don't, like you said, you don't know how to regulate it.
Who are you to tell Terry Rozier that your foot isn't hurting? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or like you have these guys that are like, you know, a guy maybe on a 2-way contract that maybe isn't making, relatively speaking, isn't making a ton of money, you know, compared to his peers. He has a chance to make his whole family rich. He's just like, okay, for this one game, throw $2,000, or talk to your friends, throw $2,000 on the over for turnovers, and I'm just going to turn that bitch over for a quarter. I'm going to just throw the ball away 4 times and then check out of the game.
Exactly.
You'll all be rich, and you know, I don't know. There's been irreparable damage, and I don't know how. The NBA came out with a statement today saying how they were going to basically, to paraphrase it, they were going to look into being more strict about this stuff or blah blah blah. But it's like, what can you do? The damage has already been done, you know?
And you can't, like, I think that Terry Rozier is an example of someone who got caught, but, like, I think there are so many players that are not going to get caught and are not getting caught. Yep. And Michael Porter Jr., Jonte Porter's older brother, who was playing for the Nuggets, is now playing for the Brooklyn Nets. He said this in one of his podcasts. He said, like, imagine you're a NBA player, like you grew up in the hood, like you grew up with no money, like your friends have no money, your family have no money, like now you're the only source, and like you have an opportunity to make all of like your friends and family extremely wealthy, and all you have to do is throw one game out of 82. Like, why would you not do that? So it's just like one of those things where
it hurts
players
the integrity
either
of the
have
game,
to be,
you know, like
players either have to be extremely disciplined and realize that there's a high chance, or there's a chance that they might get caught, or you know, a lot of these players are gonna just fucking risk it, and you know, most of them aren't gonna get caught if we're being really honest.
Or how do we know that referees aren't in on it too? It's like, you know,
Dude,
this could go deep.
Refs do that shit, bro.
Tim Donaghy was like caught for it. Like, you know, it sucks, man. It sucks. And you said it already.
What's the solution? Do we just get rid of gambling, like sports gambling?
I think that the bottom line is, to answer that question, the damage has already been done. I don't know what you can do now. So I guess it would be up to the coaches, like, having integrity. If they see someone that even there's a chance that they're throwing the game or something like that, take him out and don't play him for like 10 games or something like that. I don't know.
But how can you do that, dude? Bogdanovich just had 5 fucking turnovers in a game, dude.
Yeah, dude, Bogey's like hurting and he's trying his best. They're like, yo, Bogey, you gotta be throwing games. Like, we're gonna have to waive you. And he just goes back to serving.
So like, how are you supposed to determine that? Like I said, you could just be walking down the street and like hit up some random dude. Like, you know, a lot of these people that work at like Staples Center crypto.com arena, or work at like at Intuit, like they know these players. And like, how do we know that someone like James Harden isn't walking past like this security guard every single day? Security guard's going through some shit, like struggling in life or some shit, and James Harden is like, yo, like bet.
He's like, yo, I'm gonna score 2 points. I'm gonna score 2 points.
He's probably bet the over on my turnovers, and then James Harden has 7 fucking turnovers, 30 points, and 10 assists. Like, who's gonna look at that and be like, James Harden
leads the charge in getting James Harden like banned from the NBA. It starts now.
No, I'm just using that as an example. No,
I totally know what you mean.
James Harden, that your 7 turnovers was on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know, dude.
There's
It's
no
crazy.
clear answer, but it is a dialogue that everybody's having, and right now, Rolla, myself, and I'm sure everybody out there doesn't know what the answer to this would be. So it's going to be
Yeah.
very interesting to see how the NBA holds up their end of the bargain in terms of what they're saying they're going to do and cracking down on this. I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't know how it's going to be done, but it's definitely concerning. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about and what's going on, Roll?
No, dude, that was pretty much it for me.
Yeah, I think that about does it as well. I think going back to the Clippers. I think past. Okay, so I'm just going to jump ahead real quick. Past this New Orleans game, we have Miami, OKC, Phoenix back to back, and then you got Atlanta, Denver, Dallas, Boston, Philly, Orlando, Cleveland. Like the schedule progressively gets harder and harder. So I think specifically over the course of the next week or so, I really, really expect the Clippers to kind of start taking these games seriously, especially with the talent that they have at their disposal, the weapons that they have that they were able to add this offseason. Clippers can do something, like I said, Clippers can do something special this season. They just got to play like it. So we'll come to you guys probably on Sunday to talk about these next two games, but I'm hoping back-to-back dubs. Clippers got to really handle business here. So I think that about does it for us, guys. As Rolla said up top, you can check us out on YouTube, listen to us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Deezer. Feel free to give us a follow on Twitter and on Instagram at ClipServicePod. Give us a shout out. Let us know what you think. And Rolla's furiously shaking his head. That means follow us, guys, please. But yeah, let us know what you guys think of the episode. Let us know what you guys think of illegal poker with mafia bosses or whatever was going on with Chauncey. Yeah, there's a whole lot to be said about that. So let us know what you guys think, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're back on schedule. We're back together. We're giving you exactly what you guys want in terms of Clipper news. So we will catch you guys on Sunday most likely. And as always, let's go Clips.
Let's go Clips.